and that was LL Cool J. Hush. He wanted to. I love me some LL Cool J. Anybody knows me knows I love LL. But that was L, okay? So make sure you tune in to lradioshock.com, LLC, yay! And we're going to go into our main topic today, which is, okay.
Wow.
Our main topic, we're talking about sacrifice. Sacrifice in relationships, sacrifice in life. Is it always one person or more than, or is it both people who are making sacrifices in a relationship? Not to fight. I'm going to let you start off with that. Who makes the more sacrifices in relationships? And is that a good thing?
Well, sacrifice is a loaded word.
Yes, it
From the
is.
standpoint that we have to understand that sometimes you sacrifice a lot for the sake of what you love. I mean, I've seen coming from my parents hadn't always been married, and so my mom took care of me primarily. My dad got more in the picture, and to see her sacrifice to not eat, to make sure I eat, to see her sacrifice to, work two jobs for the sake of, having her child be able to have what he needs, is obviously a mother's love for her child, but she'll do anything for the sake of well-being. And so when we're dealing in this idea of sacrifice, we have to ask ourselves, what are we sacrificing? I tell couples all the time that you should write a mission or a vision for your relationship.
Okay.
You should at least on a yearly basis make sure that you all know that you all are working toward the same thing. And so the level of sacrifices I make is because we're trying to reach this vision together. So instead of me hanging out with my partners, I'll make sure I'll work a little extra. You know what I mean? We get a little overtime to help us get to being homeowners. Or these are sacrifices that help benefit relationships so that you reach the goals and the areas of life that you're trying to reach. Now, if you're talking about sacrifice from the standpoint that I let you go out here and have a whole other relationship with somebody else just to say I'm in a relationship with somebody myself, I think that's unhealthy, and that's not the type of sacrifice I'm talking about.
So when we talk about sacrifice in a relationship, does it always seem that the female is making more of a sacrifice than the male in a relationship? Because that's how I sometimes, when I talk to people, that's how it always comes across to me, that women seem to be making more of a sacrifice than the man.
Well, I would dare say that some of this is perspective. Any relationship, when you talk to each side, will have their own version of the facts. I told my wife just the other day, totally different situation, but the statement still rings true, is that sometimes it's not about the facts, it's about the narrative. That some people can take the same facts and paint a different narrative. And at any time, when you begin to paint your own narrative, you put you in the best light. And so, man, we'll take those same facts that a woman says, well, I sacrificed this and I gave this and I do this. Well, first of all, I would ask her, who told you to do that?
But see, that right there is not a fair question. Because it's not when you said, well, who told you to do that? And that it wasn't the man or woman that can say, but I was thinking about as a whole, that this is what needs to be done. So I made the sacrifice to do it. So when somebody says I made the sacrifice, and then to me, if you're so callous enough to come back and say, well, who told you to do that? That's so unfair. And I think that's just
callous. It's not callous.
It is callous.
Once again, think about this logically. If you are in a relationship, in a situation, and you say, in order to solve this situation, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I might have to sacrifice this, in order for this to happen, but I'm doing it for the sake of my relationship. You come back, and the man doesn't appreciate what you've done. Now you feel like your level of sacrifice is not accepted in a way that it should have been. Now, the question that you got to answer is, did you unilaterally make this decision to sacrifice, and did you come together and make this decision and make this level of sacrifice? And 9 times out of 10, A woman unilaterally does something because she deems that is right.
That's true.
But if a man, and most women are not going to accept this, but think about it in a man's perspective. Most men doesn't appreciate women's unilateral sacrifice because it robs the man of his masculinity.
Ooh, that was a good one right there, Dr. Fight.
You have not afforded me the opportunity to help resolve or fix the issue, but you took it upon yourself to do something that you thought was worthy to be done. And when it's not appreciated, now you have a problem. Well,
but see here's where we get into trouble sometimes is that when you ask, sometimes you'll ask the man repeatedly over and over, okay, babe, ask your opinion about certain things. Well, then at some point you said, well, I pretty much know what he gonna say or what he gonna feel, so I'm gonna go ahead and make that decision. And then the man gets upset when you make that decision. But there have been other times that you just like said, it's okay, I just do whatever. So you can't pick and choose when you want to be informed as what the decisions are that's being made. Would you think that that's fair? So if that woman said, I made the sacrifice, I made the decision, because you always tell me to do it anyway. So why all of a sudden now are you in your feelings?
I think in most men's case, it's, you got there again, the narrative is very important because most men will tell you the reason why I didn't fight is because I ain't want to hear a voice, I ain't want to hear a mouth. So I just say, go ahead, do what you want to do. Because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear it. Because they know that if most men know if they say, no, I disagree with that, now that comes with the conversation. But if he just says, okay, fine, go with it, that doesn't come with a conversation. So, I had an uncle that always told me, pick and choose your battles.
Okay, I get that. But based on how you just described that, it's like a man really never want to have a battle. It's just like based on how you said, it's like, okay, if I say this, it's gonna lead to a conversation. If I don't say this, then she gonna go ahead and do it anyway. But then if she go ahead and do it, then you're gonna have a problem with it. So my question is, what do you want the woman to do? Tell us what you want. Because based on what you just said, no, you didn't.
I just told you, we need to sit down and establish a vision. Where are we going?
But that can't always be. When you sit down and establish a vision at the beginning of a marriage or relationship, that you can't always just go off of that all the time. Because life changes. Because life changes. Life changes. Life changes. Circumstances change. Circumstances change.
If life changes, then you should change. And if this is no longer working, then I'm changing. See, the question is hold on to something that has reached its expiration date. And me and my wife have disagreed on this a lot of times because, we've had friends who have gotten divorced. And I said, sometimes we make a lifetime person that was a seasonal person in our life. So
I agree with that.
But then when the marriage reaches its expiration date, some people feel like we should just fight because we're married. But at the end of the day, sometimes, as you just said, things change.
Yep.
And when things change, I'm of the opinion that it's time to move on. Do you want to get divorced? Do you want to separate? Do you want to go your separate ways? Probably not. I'm a proponent of marriage. I want you to fight to stay together. But I don't want you to fight to stay together with somebody you're unhappy with. And if you feel like you're giving up who you are just so that somebody else can live, that's no way of life.
But see, we're gonna agree right there on that part because I agree with you right there. I don't understand, but I'm agreeing. So many women, they make that sacrifice in their marriages and for their families.
What you're saying
Not a lot of women though.
It's in a relationship.
I didn't hear you. What was that?
I'm saying it as if men don't make sacrifices in their relationships.
I would dare say that they do, but I don't think it's to the extent as women do. I don't.
I feel like
I don't.
Most men that I hear make the sacrifice of their own masculinity because of a woman's desire to be in control.
What? You almost made me spit out. You almost made me choke. What?
Most men make a sacrifice of their own masculinity, so for the sense of a woman's wanting to be in control.
Ooh, Dr. Fight.
I'm
Ooh.
just talking about the men that I talk to. Most men that I talk to that are married to strong women say, in order for us, if I'm a strong man and you're a strong woman, but in order for us to coexist, sometimes I gotta take a step back from being in control or in charge because it's your desire and nature to
Ooh,
run
I
and
just,
control.
ooh, ouch, 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 ouch,
But
ouch.
then the same narrative, that same narrative is debunked when a woman says, well, I gotta do this, I gotta do that because he's not gonna do it. Well, then now her narrative is saying, I'm doing it because he won't. His narrative is saying, I'm letting her do it because she gonna be in control even if I try to do it. So
I kind of get what you're saying, but I
now
still
love is
think.
based off of who you standing in front of at the time.
So, question for you. You always say, I got a question for you. I got a question for you. Do you feel like you have sacrificed a part of your masculinity in your relationship?
No, not in mine. My wife is the bomb.com. She loves and supports me, and we've created a dynamic between the two of us that affords her the opportunity to be the woman who God is calling her to be and work in the field, in the area in which she's worked hard to develop herself in and utilize her tools and gifts. Meanwhile, she supported me in endeavors that I have had and continue to work towards. And it's an understanding that one is not sacrificing for the sake of the other, but we're both working hard for the sake of us together. So see, our mentality is always if, we want to feel like we're with somebody that's working as hard or more
Absolutely.
than what we're doing for the sake of us together. And typically we begin to argue about those sacrifices when I don't see your level of sacrifice and it doesn't match mine.
Explain that. Explain that. You got to explain that a little bit more.
I don't see you out here on the grind as much as I'm on the grind. I don't see you out here doing and bringing to the table as much as I am. I don't see you putting in the hours that I'm putting in so that we can get certain things in life or move certain places forward in life. I want to know what in the world are you doing that I'm out here busting myself left and right to limb to try to make sure that we can improve our credit and we can get more money in savings. I'm out here doing all of this and all you doing is just sitting there all day just looking at me. That now frustrates me that I feel like I'm doing more, I'm putting in more to this equation than what you bring to the table.
So are you saying that?
Frustration.
So are you saying that when it comes to women who are more or less like stay-at-home wives, and you feel like they're not, if they're not bringing anything financially to the table, are you saying that their sacrifice is less than that other person or that partner who's bringing in the income?
No, in that scenario, it's a little bit different. In that scenario, everybody's bringing to the table not something that's considered equitable from the standpoint we're matching dollar for dollar, but we're bringing something to the standpoint that I'm playing my part and role to the greater cause of us as a family.
Okay.
So some families have had to make a decision even in this pandemic that is being that children are not in school and have been out longer, is it wise for both of us to be working? Because maybe one of our check is going to pay child care.
Right.
Just so I can
Right.
pay child care, and the other check is to pay household responsibility. So some people have made the decision that I'll just stay home and sacrifice my check to take care of the kids because the money we would be spending on child care, we don't have to spend anymore. And you'll come home and make sure that the bills are taken care of. That is a strategy and a plan for that relationship. It doesn't devalue the one who stays home. It just says that the part I'm playing for the sake of our marriage or our family is one in which I'm just as much valuable to this team as you are, because the part I play is